It started with a phone call, a panicked voice on the other end, breathless, trembling. "She's gone. Mom's gone." Christmas Eve, 2019. A snowstorm was blanketing Eddington, Maine, a place so small the post office doubled as a coffee shop. Every house was glowing with Christmas lights, except one, the Hollis house, the old Victorian at the edge of the woods. At exactly 12:04 a.m., the town's power went out. For 3 minutes, everything went black. When the lights came back on, Margaret Hollis had vanished. No one saw her leave, no one saw her die, and no one was ever supposed to know what really happened. This is the silent crime on Christmas Eve. Before we begin, make sure you're subscribed to The Silent Case and hit that like button, because tonight you're about to uncover a truth that's been buried for decades. Margaret Maggie Hollis was the kind of woman everyone trusted. 82 years old, sharp mind, steady hands, and a kindness that made you feel guilty for not calling your mother. Every Christmas Eve, she followed the same ritual. She baked gingerbread cookies. She called her daughter Emily at midnight. And she lit one candle for her son, Peter, who'd gone missing on Christmas Eve, 1989. 30 years later, she still believed he'd come back. But that night, the call never came. Emily tried at 12, at 12:05, at 12:15, no answer. By morning, the police were knocking on Maggie's front door. Inside, the kettle had boiled dry. Her teacup was still full. The front door was locked from the inside, windows frozen shut. On the kitchen counter was an old photo, a woman, a man, and a boy. Maggie, her husband Walter, and their 10-year-old son Peter. But someone had scratched the father's face out completely. Beside it, on the frosted window pane, a word written with a trembling finger: "Stay." I'm a journalist, and I grew up 2 houses down from Maggie Hollis. When the story broke, I drove back to Eddington to cover it. The house looked smaller than I remembered, almost sunken into the snow. The police said there was no sign of forced entry. They blamed confusion, maybe hypothermia. But I knew Maggie. She wasn't confused. She didn't wander. And something about that word, "stay," felt like a message. The first thing I noticed inside was the temperature, colder than outside, like the house itself was breathing. In the hallway, a faint sound echoed through the vents, a soft rhythmic tapping. 3 knocks, pause, 3 knocks. I followed it to the basement. The door was half open, the air smelled of wet concrete and dust. At the bottom of the stairs, I saw an old utility hatch, bolted shut. It wasn't there when I was a kid. On the floor nearby, something glittered under the flashlight, a small, rusted key wrapped in red thread. And next to it, a note. "He's still here." I unlocked the hatch. The hinges screamed open. Inside was a crawl space, low and dark. My light caught something in the corner, a blanket, a cup, an old battery lamp, and then a smell. Not rot, something worse, like iron and earth. And beneath that smell, breathing. When I aimed the flashlight, I saw movement. A man hunched over, shielding his face from the light. His eyes were wide, unfocused. He looked terrified. Not of me, but of something behind me. "Who are you?" I asked. He whispered, "She promised she'd stay." He stepped into the light and I saw it, the locket hanging from his neck. Inside was a faded picture of Maggie and a little boy, the same boy from the photo upstairs. "Peter," I whispered. He nodded. He'd been down there for 30 years. Peter told me the truth, the part the town never knew. When he was 10, his father, Walter Hollis, discovered what Maggie had been hiding, that their son had been born with something wrong. Schizophrenia, they said, but Walter believed it was possession. One night, after Peter hurt another child in the woods, Walter locked him in the crawl space until he was better. But Walter died months later in an accident. Maggie couldn't bear to let Peter out. She told herself she was protecting him. So she kept him there, fed him through the vent, spoke to him through the floor for 30 years. Every Christmas Eve, she'd play him his favorite song through the vent, Silent Night. It was their tradition. But that night, she told him she couldn't do it anymore. Her health was failing. She was moving in with Emily. She told him goodbye. That's when he panicked. He said he waited until the lights went out, then climbed through the vent. The same vent that carried her voice all those years. She said she'd leave me, he whispered. I couldn't let her. He pointed to the dirt behind him. Something was buried there, a shape wrapped in a red shawl, her shawl, and I saw her hand, still wearing her wedding ring. I ran. By the time the police came back, Peter was gone. The crawl space sealed again, the walls rebuilt. They said I was lying, that no such space existed. They even took me back to the basement and showed me solid concrete where the hatch had been. But I remember the sound, 3 knocks, the smell of iron and dust, and the way he said her name. 2 weeks later, the case went cold. No trace of Maggie, no trace of Peter. Every Christmas Eve since, the power in Eddington flickers, always at 12:04 a.m., always for 3 minutes. And when it does, people swear they hear it, a voice carried through the vents of that old house. A woman's voice humming Silent Night. The new owners moved out after one night. They said the house whispers, that they woke up to find words drawn in the frost on the window. One word, stay. I never published the story. Some things are better left buried. But every year, on Christmas Eve, I drive past Hollow Creek Road. And without fail, that one window always has a candle burning inside. No one lives there now, but someone or something keeps the light alive. Because in Eddington, Maine, some crimes never end. They just wait for the next Christmas Eve. You've just heard the silent crime on Christmas Eve. If this story gave you chills, tell me your favorite part in the comments below. And remember, you're watching The Silent Case, where no one knew what really happened.